having a hard time at life, leading to multiple mental breakdowns, and so I've ended up excessively reading for the past half year.
He's such a romantic and fed, and every day with him is magic.
So hello, welcome back to my channel. I have entered my new era of books, of reading, of just being a book girly. Why wasn't I here before? So with my time at work and meeting new people, I met people who read religiously, and it reminded me I used to do that. What happened to me? Probably a bad book. That's what happened, and I stopped reading. So if you're going through a similar situation, this video will help you to be a reader, easy book recommendation, and how to keep yourself accountable for the books you read. Let's begin. So the first thing that really got me back into reading was a good book. And for me, that book might be controversial, but was It Ends With Us. It was a book that everyone was reading at the time, and I was like, you know what? I'll read it. I bought it with my friend and I fell in love with reading again. I finished the book within 2 weeks, and that book made me realize why I used to love reading in the first place. Getting into these new worlds, just forgetting that the outer world actually exists, playing this whole fantasy in my mind of the book that I was reading. So after that book got me out of my reading slump, I started talking about books with my friends. I'm telling you, there's nothing better than having a supportive group of friends, or even just one friend who reads like you, who you can actually go to on a daily basis or a weekly basis and discuss the most minute things about the book you read, because honestly, some people will understand and some people will not, and you want the people who will understand. And luckily for me, that was someone I was working with, and that helped me go into work every single day, talk about books, and also she kept me accountable in a way. If I wasn't reading, she was like, girl, you need to be reading, and I was like, girl, I know. And recently I just downloaded Goodreads, which I didn't know existed, and that's how people kept themselves accountable on the books they read. I was like, that is so much fun. So I would highly recommend downloading the app, making an account, and also adding your friends on that so you can keep each other accountable, and it's also just fun seeing what your friends are reading. And so the first thing that really kickstarted my year for reading was setting a book goal within Goodreads. I've seen people setting their goals to 100 books, 200 books, 1,000 books. But I'm just not there yet. So I set my goal to 25 books, and I've already gotten through 11 books, if I'm not wrong. Because every time I finish a book, I can just update it on the app. Every single day, I can update the pages that I'm reading in the app. Therefore, now even the app is keeping me accountable, if you get what I mean. And now let's talk about the books that you should read if you want to get into reading. And these are just some of the easy reads that you don't really need a lot of brain power for. So the first one that I would highly recommend is Falling Heart for the Royal Guard. I love this book. This book is truly interesting, especially if you're living in the UK or in London. And if you want to read this book, go outside, look at a red bus or the Tower of London, and read this book there. This book is based on a girl who lives in the Tower of London. She meets a guard, you know, those guards who never move. It's their story on their friendship, and eventually, you know, it is literally zero brain power. You just have to read. And it also has a whole map drawn out of the Tower of London to help you understand better what they're talking about. So, you know, you don't have to go into your brain and be like, oh my god, which place are they talking about? These are so many rooms, this is confusing. Don't worry, come back, refer to this page. You'll be good. So that is my first recommendation. Now for more of maybe this is a sci-fi, because this book is about robots. This book is called Humans Bow Down, and this was the very first sci-fi book that I ever read. I thought it would be hard for me to read because I just didn't like fantasy or sci-fi. Those are just genres that were like, I don't think I'm ever touching those. And if someone like me read this book and enjoyed it, then I'm pretty sure you will too. This is basically about a world where the world is run by machines and not humans. Kind of a humans versus machines kind of plot. You're trying to figure out who wins. Is it the humans? Is it the robots? Definitely recommend this one as well. And then if you want like a crime, but like a cozy crime, because you're just not into that blood and that gory part of books yet, this is Barking Mad. A cozy crime. It's very like, oh, people living in a town, something happens and now they have to figure out, ooh, what happened? Figuring out within yourselves. It's also like you're on a journey with them, you know? There's no detective in here. You are the detective. That's why I do love cozy crime. And the final recommendation I have, Fourth Wing. Now, this is not the easiest read, I would say, but if you are into fantasy, or even if you haven't read fantasy books before, but you like fantasy movies, this is for you. So I never read fantasy books before, and I never liked them. The thought of them was like daunting to me. But then my friend recommended Fourth Wing to me, and my whole life changed. I took the recommendation a bit like, yeah, sure, I'll read it. But then I read it and I was like, give me the second book now. This is part of a series. There are 2 books that are out right now, but I think there's a 3rd book that is being written currently. So, you know, if you like it, hop on the bandwagon. This book follows the main character Violet Sorrengail. Each year in this country, there's a competition that's held. One child from each family is selected to participate in this university, in this game. It's basically similar to Hunger Games, where you have to fight to survive. Violet doesn't really want to be part of that. She wants to be more like, you know, the cozy vibe. She wants to be a scribe, but she's chosen to be the fighter, and it's about how she deals with that journey, because in comparison to the other children, she is very weak. She is not built for this and never trained for this, and so it's all about that. And there's also a really great romance trope with this. I never thought I would like a romance trope from a fantasy book. I just thought they were icky and just weird, but no, there is romance in this, and it's a lot of banter, and I gave this book a 5 stars, so would definitely recommend. And just because it's a fantasy doesn't mean it's that super hard to get into. Maybe it'll take you like maybe 1 or 2 chapters to understand the world, but also there's a whole map in this book as well, and so you'll understand what places they're talking about. People ask me how I end up reading so much, and I'm not the fastest reader. I am on the slow side. However, in comparison to people who don't really read that often, I read relatively fast. Let me tell you my secret. I read every chance I get. If I got ready for the day and I have 5 minutes to spare where someone else is getting ready and we have to go out together, I'll open my book and I'll read it instead of scrolling on social media. Do I have to heat my food in the afternoon? Put it in the microwave? Reading my book while it's heating. Before going to bed? Reading. Going out to the mall, or reading on the way. Traveling in public transport? Reading. Waiting for someone to set up a board game so that we can play the board game? Reading. You best believe I'm reading any chance I get. And so I scroll less, pick up my phone less. I literally just pick it up if someone's calling me or messaging me, and that is it. I love living in the fantasy of my books instead of living in the fantasy of social media. And I've come to a point where I'd rather open my book and read about a fictional world than look at social media. You know, I like having unrealistic expectations of men. I like knowing that the world is a great place, that dragons fly everywhere, that someday robots might invade us, but I love reading about those. Starting from last year, I have just enjoyed reading so much. When I've been alone in my head, when my thoughts have been crowding my mind, and when I think that the world is just a brutal place to live in, I open a book and I feel great. Reading affects you so much. It affects the way you look at the world. It gives you a bit of more positivity to look forward to. Sure, there are unrealistic expectations of things in books, but it allows you to be a little delusional that can make you happy instead of, you know, sulking in those negative moments that are always just lies. And if so there's anything you take away from this video, maybe just pick up that book that you've been meaning to read. And if you think after reading 2 pages that's not the book for you, leave it. You don't have to finish the book. You can come back to it another time. Get a thinner book, get a smaller book, something that doesn't intimidate you if that's the thing that fat books like this do to you. And slowly you can get to those fat books. So thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully this was helpful in a way. If you didn't know, I actually post book related videos on my TikTok as well, which I just recently started. So if you like to, you know, get into that book journey and join me over there, feel free to do that. We'll see you guys next time. Bye!
He can be so poetic. His way with words is dramatic. It's classic, and I just can't get enough of it.
Gingy, stop! No! Gingy, stop! Gingy! No, enough. I swear. Gingy!